Здравствуйте, меня зовут Richard Gong. Приятно познакомиться. Hello everybody, I'm Richard Gong of Work to Live podcast version. So this time the title shows, are you hurting yourselves? Есть, великая Россия, нашей, счастий. So I'm generally speaking, what the language I'm good at is, so generally speaking, the language I can speak out fluently is Japanese language. Of course, I can't speak out Japanese, which is my mother tongue fluently. So I often, sometimes I stutter when speaking Japanese language, and I often stutter when speaking English language. And when I speak Chinese language or other languages I have studied, I can't speak English. I can't speak those languages. So let me pronounce the Russian part of the title again. So the Russian part says, Есть, великая Россия, нашей, счастий. So the meaning of the Russian part is, Great Russia exists for our happinesses. So I use the plural term for happinesses. So I'm going to tell you again the English version or the translated version of the title. So the former part is fine because that is I'm thinking of writing the former part in English language. So are you hurting yourselves is you may be hurting yourselves. So yes, the великая Россия, нашей, счастий is Russia or great Russia exists for our happinesses. So through this title, what I'd like you to know this time is that if Russia is destroyed, people in developed countries are going to suffer from a flood of immigrants. So why I can say, or why it's possible to say stuff like this is because maybe some of you know that Russia is a multinational state. Or Russian Federation has a lot of ethnic groups, and the number of ethnic groups is the number according to Wikipedia. I'm reading Wikipedia, and according to the information source, or according to the source of information named Wikipedia. So according to Wikipedia, the number of the ethnic groups in Russia is over 193. So so to start with, 100. So one country having 193 ethnic groups is really it's really tough. Such a situation is really tough because there are many groups having different cultural and perhaps different linguistic backgrounds, which is why Russia is such a country, or Russia is in such a tough situation on regular basis. And so not only 193 ethnic groups, but also over is attached before 193 ethnic groups, which indicates that there may be 194 ethnic groups or more ethnic groups may exist or may live in Russian Federation. So Russia is such a huge country, and in which, so as I told you, many ethnic groups live in. So which is really a tough situation. And why it is tough is because but as a fact, or the fact must be that, so there must be some conflicts or many conflicts between different not racial, but between racial groups and between ethnic groups, but also among many ethnic groups. So so it's difficult that many different people living in one place or a place. So which is why or which means there must be some conflicts between between people or among people. So which is easily comprehensible because it's really difficult even to communicate each other, even to communicate between two people or three or more people. So communication is tough. So if the size of communication is enlarged to be the communications or the communications or creating societies among each different ethnic groups. So Russia comprises such many different people, or Russia comprises, or Russia includes such many or such amount of different ethnic groups, which is why it's really tough to reign. It's really tough to reign that huge territory into one country. So thinking about such a fact. Yeah, so please imagine the situation in which you became the president of Russian Federation. So if you became the president of Russian Federation, that must be tougher. That must be tougher than becoming the president or king or some kind of political leader reigning, for example, one small country having the population of million people or hundreds thousands of people. So which is why what I'd like you to know. So at first I told you that if Russia is destroyed, if Russia is destroyed, other developed countries are going to suffer from many immigrants coming into those developed countries, which is why which is why, and in that sense, Russia does really a good job, or Russia does really a great job, but by existing itself. So what I'd like you to know this time is that I'm recording this episode on the beginning of 2022, or I'm recording this episode in the beginning of March in 2022, in which there was still a war between Ukraine and Russia, and the war has lasted in this time of recording. So which is why I'm telling you this episode, or I'm telling you this fact, because Russia has, as I told you, Russia comprises, or Russia has over 193 ethnic groups. So if the current government of Russia is destroyed, or if the present government reigning Russia was destroyed, but because of, for example, because of sanctions by other developed European countries and the United States of America, that present territory governed or reigned by the Russian government lose their own government, which is why there must be some kind of harsh situation, or there are going to be some dangerous situations like the situations taking place in Middle Eastern countries, which is why so it's a kind of, how should I say, I don't know how to say this, but it's a kind of necessary evil. I don't like this word, because I think evil creatures or evil existences are not necessary. So anyway, but Russian government. So I think Russian government, not only Russian government, but also Chinese government, really those two communist governments do really great jobs in a sense, or in a way that both of those governments govern govern many ethnic groups, which is why those two governments, the ability, not just the ability, the abilities of learning was the ability of governing those two huge territories. Those two governments have really great and those abilities of learning are really high, which is why we can live on peacefully, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So, as I told you, if the current Russian government controlled by Mr. Vladimir Putin is destroyed because of some kind of force like sanctions done by other countries. So if such a thing happens, so many people belonging to different ethnic groups lose their own governments, which is why they may rush into other developed countries, and which is how our peaceful lives may be destroyed. So accompanying the corruption or accompanying the destruction of the Russian government, which is why. So what I'd like you to know in this time is that Russian government is necessary. Or I don't tell you that the Vladimir Putin has to be on the current position. I don't think Vladimir Putin has to be on that position. I can't say that Vladimir Putin has to be on that situation. I can't say such a thing surely. I can surely say such a thing, but actually, so I can surely say that Vladimir Putin has to be on that position. But actually, so what I'd like you to know is that Russia itself is really necessary, and Russia itself is, how should I say, Russia being or Russia governing or Russia reigning that huge territory, or Russia controlling really many ethnic groups is really beneficial for the situations of the rest of the people, except for Russian people. I don't know whether you can understand what I told you, because I'm not so good at speaking English language, because my mother tongue is Japanese to start with, and I'm not used to using English, and I'm not used to explaining difficult stuff using another language than my mother tongue. So anyway, so that was an extra story. So what I'd like you to know is that now that many European governments decided to do sanctions against the benefits or against the benefits of the Russian government, but actually, so it's not so smart to destroy Russia, or it's not so smart to destroy the government reigning or governing the Russian territory, because thanks to Russia existing or being in that current place, so that Russia maybe I don't know whether Russia actually prevents its own citizens from getting out of Russian territory and immigrating into other countries. But I don't know such a political stuff about especially about Russia. But actually, so for example, there are many ethnic groups, and typical. So one of the examples is Tatar, or I don't know whether Tatar is a Mongolian group or not, but actually, so there are not only Tatar, but also other Mongolian groups. For example, I'm not saying that Tatar and Mongolian groups are really mean or really bad actually. So I think some Tatar people are good and some Tatar people are bad, and there are other people like Nivu people are said to be the origin of Japanese people. And anyway, so you don't have to remember this point. But actually, so what I'd like you to know this time is that Russia plays an important role in favor of our peaceful lives, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So in this occasion, or in this part, at last, this is the last part of this episode. So I'd like to come back to the original topic, or the title of this episode. So I said, so are you hurting yourselves? And I said in Russian language that есть великая Россия, нашей, счастий. So which said, so in English that means, so are you hurting yourselves? And the phrase beginning, the sentence beginning with yes is, so great Russia exists for our for happinesses. So which means, so Russia being there, or Russia reigning so many ethnic groups is really good for, or is really beneficial for our peaceful lives. So please make sure this point. So if you're thinking of destroying or destructing or doing something detrimental to the Russian government governing the current Russian territory, that means you are going to destroy your own lives. Please make sure this point. So which is what I'd like you to know this time. So which is why the conclusion is, if Russia is destroyed, people in developed countries are going to suffer from a flood of immigrants. So I hope if such a thing, if a destruction of the Russian government happens, I hope only people who are going to suffer from a lot of Russian immigrants coming into our developed countries are only people living in the currently developed countries. I'm sorry, it's complicated. So for example, in the case of Chinese people, so some people may immigrate. Some people in Russian territory may immigrate into Chinese territory if the current Russian government is destroyed, which is what I have expected. So at least maybe if the government is destroyed, so the people in Russian territory are going to immigrate into developed countries, which is why people living in developed countries are going to suffer. Whether some developed countries are located in West European parts, or in some Asian parts, or in the United States, or in Canada, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. Paka paka.